Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. And most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice a week long form podcast, because I want to put the right information out there from the people who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many, many reasons why I would probably fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. All right, you guys, I got a guest who I am going to bring up here in a couple of minutes. And, you know, we do a little bit of a curveball on the guests today, and that's because everybody who I talk to is like active, right? Like they got jobs, things come up, you guys, and I always want to be the show that people are like, you know what? If they can make it, awesome. If not, I completely understand, because they got jobs, right? Like we all do. And we're going to come here, but I got a guest here who's going to rock your world a little bit with some energy, because this dude's got a ton of it. And we're going to talk about all of that here in a second. But before I go any further, as always, you guys, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or shipper, we all enjoy making money. And that's what you get with VHub. You can get on there and you can move some of their, take some of their repositionings, and you get paid to move these trailers, you guys. And that's on top of the revenue that you can get by loading these trailers out. So what they're working on right now, you guys, is they have some trailers out in Lafayette, Indiana, going down to Lake City, Florida, and you get $420 US per trailer. There's a dry van out there. They got some dry vans out in San Bernardino, California, going to Columbus, Ohio. You get $990 US for that. They got a reefer trailer down in Lebanon, Illinois, going up to Fridley, Minnesota, my old stomping grounds, and you get $450 Canadian to do that. And now they got some vans out in Evansville, Wisconsin, getting up to Mississauga, Ontario. If you guys got some Canadian customers, you can get in there and get on that for $500 Canadian. And then finally, they got Parkland, Florida, going up to Milton, Ontario, and you get 1,000 Canadian to do that, you guys. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My man Zach Lonergan and my friend Stacy Steen, they will be in the audience. Just do me a favor, let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Anthony Petit in the house. Good morning, Freight Posse, he says. Corey Buchan, good morning. Let's go. Adolfo Rodriguez, buenos dias. Buenos sick. Ah, man, I feel for you, my man. Tito, that's right, baby. USA, USA. Sydney Thiessen, good morning to you. April Maroney, what is up? Good morning to you. Thank God for trucking. Brian, my man, good morning to you. Zach Lonergan, howdy from Texas. Of course, he had to drop that in there. Zena, she says, hi from Avanza, Nearshore Staffing. Happy Thursday, everyone. All right, you guys, without further ado, I got my man Britton Wesson on the show. What's up, dude?
What's going on? I saw Anthony give the shout out there. He's on. Good to see everybody. Yeah, how's it going, man? Good to be here.
It's going good, Britton. You know,
Awesome.
it was funny, Britton. I don't know how to react when people say this, but Britton's like, oh, back when I was working at Hunt a couple years ago, he's like, I used to tune into your show all the time, and I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. Because like, that's the beauty about content, Britton, is you never know who's watching, right?
Yep.
And
yeah, you
I
know.
think that's like the best part about, as things have kind of like changed away from like mainstream media to like independent creators and stuff like that, because it's bringing in another it's just a different style, right? Where I think everything is kind of transitioning into, right? Where it's like the traditional mainstream media, I personally think, is dead. I think that it's going to come down from the individuals who are inside of those niches and talking about the topics that, you know, we do. Like, we only talk about freight on this show. I only talk to people who are in the freight industry on this show for that reason.
Yeah, well, it was such a huge help to me getting in. So when I was at Hunt, and I came into the transportation industry with zero knowledge.
Yeah.
When I got hired at Hunt, the guy that hired me he went to our church, and so we knew each other.
Yeah.
And he asked me on my initial interview, he said, "What do you know about the trucking industry?" I said, "Look, I know two things. I worked at Lowe's at the time. Hey, Ashley Fountain, we worked together at JB Hunt. What's up, Ashley?"
Yeah, said, wait, what?
Wait, what? And so we were having coffee, and he asked me, "What do you know about the transportation industry?" And at the time, I was working at Lowe's because I was kind of in a career transition moment. Yeah. And I said, "Look, man," I said, "here's what I know about freight." I said, "I know crap shows up in my section at Lowe's overnight, and I got to put it up. The second thing I know is that the boys are thirsty in Atlanta, and there's beer in Texarkana, and somebody's got to get it to them." So,
why does that sound like a country song right there?
Because it is. Eastbound and down, man.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, eastbound and down. So I was like, that's all I know about the trucking industry. And I got into it, and it was hands down been one of the most interesting fields I've ever been a part of. And where you guys come in, where the freight coach came in for me was, as I'm sitting there, building a call list. I did a lot of cold calling, right? And so, in between calls or when your show would come up, I'd punch it on because, you're talking about the mainstream media. I can't learn anything from these cats anymore, man. So when I get down to listening to guys like what you are doing, where it's just freight, just transportation, I'm learning the industry from the people who are in it. And that's where I got locked in. And that's where I became a fan, because I started learning so much about what was going on in the industry. And so, because
so you're, you took that, you're over at Finn Park now, know, and it's like, because man, this is what you're talking about right here is why I think it's so important to be, because again, I'm not saying I know everything, right? But I know that inside of industries, there is a lot of tribal information that's out there that somebody from the outside looking in who's trying to put a story out there doesn't necessarily know. And then on top of that, how does that solve actual problems? If we're looking, and I hate the term 30,000 foot view, like the corporate bro talk.
Right.
But if we're looking at the industry and that's what a lot of the information that's out there is, it's applicable to the top 1% of the industry, the largest providers that's out there. But how does that help somebody build a book of business? Or how does that help a trucking company stay in business right now when they have one truck and they're like, I just got to figure out how I can put together my payment that's due here in 15, 20 days. What is the stock price of a publicly traded company that has nothing to do with me? Or even on top of that, what we were talking before I started recording, man, I was out there on the road this week but I got to go to a hotel, right? I had a hotel, I had a well-lit lot that was at that hotel and everything else. I got a good night's sleep and I didn't have to worry about a lot of the stuff that a lot of the driving community does. And, a lot of my passion comes from the fact of it. I grew up in this industry. Like my dad was a truck driver. I've actually slept in his truck on an on-ramp before. I remember that because all the lots were full back in the day and he didn't have e-logs. Well, hold on. My dad has since moved on to heaven, so I can say this. He had a couple of logbooks that he could work with at that time.
Depending on what day, what month it was, I'm going to get this one here.
Yeah. So we could make some stuff happen, but that's just not the case anymore. And people have clocks that they have to worry about. And then on top of that, to find that spot to sit down for the night where they don't have to, I can't say things aren't going to happen because you can't control that, but to be able to get a good night's rest and what comes along with all that.
Yeah. And when I was at Hunt and man, I absolutely cherish my time at JB Hunt. I learned a ton about the industry, learned from some really good people like Brian Webb and learned a lot from Shelley Simpson. I mean, and I learned a lot from these people and people like Ashley Fountain, who's tuned in. She and I worked for a while on similar teams. But I learned a lot about that. And I learned that other than just trucking, you learn the ins and outs of it. And one of the issues was driver safety. JB Hunt as a company pushes driver safety. They not only push driver safety, they push driver appreciation and taking care of our men and women who are behind the wheel. And I remember who the first guy, one of the early guys that you introduced on the show, but he's like, we'd be nowhere without truckers. Like God bless truckers, man. And so when I got the chance to come into this side of logistics and working with Anthony and with the Finn Park side of things, my eyes were absolutely open to this issue of where do drivers park? Because you always think, man, they're just going to park at a big truck stop, but when I got to digging into it and started thinking about driver safety, what I learned at Hunt was that going, man, these drivers are parked in these open lots. You're talking, they're parked on the on-ramps. They're probably waking up every few hours, maybe check on things depending on where they're at. I think a big part of driver care and driver safety is making sure that they can park somewhere where it's lit, it's gated, it's secured, it's got cameras, it's got security, and that way they can pull into that space, and those guys and those women, they can get a good night's sleep without somebody rattling the back of their trailer, trying to bust it open, or somebody knocking on their door cab, wanting to engage in some extracurricular activities, where they can feel safe. That not only them, but their families know they're safe and they're protected while they're on the road. And that's, when I look at what we're doing at Finn Park, I would hope not. We're only just changing the game of parking, but we're changing the game in driver safety, driver care, driver appreciation, all those things that go along with taking care of our men and women who are behind the wheel.
And I look at, because last week was driver appreciation week, right? And
yeah.
I'm of the mindset that we need to be appreciating this stuff 24/7, 365. And
absolutely.
I even go a step further than that, Britton. We need to do that for just normal humanity at this point. I feel like we have just gotten completely away from that. And,
we have.
appreciating what people do for you in your daily life. The garbage men that are out there, the construction workers, the drivers, the dock workers, all of that, man,
everybody.
I'm able to do what I'm able to do because of all of those people that I just listed off. And
right.
I think getting back to that is if we're going to sit here and post up about driver appreciation, safe and secure parking, and the lifestyle itself, because the lifestyle, yes, it's a job. All right. People choose to do the job, but it is a lifestyle that not a lot of people would be willing to put up with. And it's why isn't there more of an emphasis on the retention side of things, right? Because I don't subscribe to the driver shortage narrative. I don't at all. I think that there's a retention problem that's out there. And if you actually listen to the drivers who are out there, a lot of it boils down to respect, right? And it's respecting others for what they do out there. And I'm not going to sit here and say oh, you got to, do everything, blah, 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 blah. But I'm what more can you do to help that individual out in that moment, right? If they're out there, and if you're hearing from them hey, I'm having a hard time finding a parking spot, or I'm having a hard time with this out there. Again, don't give directions. I'm going to be very, 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 very clear. Do not give directions. But you got a little thing called Google on your computer, right? And if I'm out here behind my desk every single day, I look at it like this. When I'm out here brokering freight, I want the drivers who haul my freight, we're a concierge service, right? At the end of the day, I can find what they need. I can't give you directions. I'm gonna keep beating that drum here, but I can help you find something that's close to a shipper or receiver. I can go a step further and be hey, have you picked up or delivered into this location before? No, you haven't. Well, hey man, there's this safe and secure lot down the street on here, or the shipper themselves has on-site parking and stuff like that. You can go a step further to kind of make them want to haul your freight, because I think what a lot of people are, their eyes are going to be bugged out here in a couple of months. Why doesn't anybody want to haul my freight? Well, what are you doing right now to make your freight more appealing? Because if you're not making these changes, why would they haul your load if they could haul Freight Coach Logistics' shipment, know that they're going to be treated with dignity and respect, and then on top of that, their boys over at Freight Coach Logistics go above and beyond to make their lives easier?
Yeah, I think I've got a friend who drives for a carrier right now, and he drives all over the place. I mean, he's over the road, and um, and as I'm wanting to talk to his company because I've seen his Facebook post about, well, I guess I'm going to park here. I'm parked here in this lot. It's kind of open, whatever he's talking about, taking pictures of it. I'm thinking, one thing that, if you want to, if you want to take care of your drivers, if you want to show drivers respect, if you want to retain your drivers, I think one of those things is making sure that they feel like they're going to make it. That they feel like they're going to make it home without anybody messing with their stuff, without anybody messing with them. They know that they're going to have a spot to lay their head while they're on the road. That's our goal at Finn Park. We want to make sure that happens. Anthony's got a history with family driving. My dad drove years ago. I remember as a kid, he would pull up in front of our house, and there was his cab. He'd bobtail into the neighborhood, park in front of the house. And so as I think about that and just going, man, and you're talking about showing appreciation to not only the driver, but when you think the dock workers, whatever, the people who are unloading the trucks, and then the people who are at the retail shops, putting that stuff on the shelves for you to buy so that they can, I love the idea of that appreciation from all the way down from the cab down onto whoever's helping that driver out when he shows up at his location.
Yeah. And I think that, for me in particular, safety, if you interview 100 trucking companies, that's what they all say, right? Safety is number one.
Right.
We take safety seriously. And I'm not saying that they don't, but if you're not out there providing a solution right like this to make sure your driver's got a place to shut down for the night where they can actually rest, because again, I want to be very, very clear. No truckload is worth a human life, right? And these keep pushing, keep running, all that shit's got to stop. But I look at it like this. If you're about safety, think about it like this. If they're well rested, I mean, insurance premiums are always going up, it seems. All of the stuff that's going on out there, if you're about that life, if you're about safety, if you're about making sure that your people are taken care of, why isn't there? And I'm not saying that some of these companies don't have this stuff, because I know that I'm sure that there's parking on more of the, the terminal network and stuff like that, I'm sure. But not everybody has terminals out there in 35 of the 50 states and everything else. So it's like, for me, looking at this alternative solution of, hey, you know what? I want to ensure that my drivers have that guaranteed spot where they can go in, they can get that rest, they can have access to food, they can have access to a quiet night's sleep, or as quiet as you can get in a truck, and just know that they're going to be taken care of, right? I think that bodes well more to get that retention thing as well. And then I think that when they're well rested, they're going to improve their motor skills, they're going to improve their reaction time, because we need to improve that section of the job more than anything. And I think it comes down to a well night's rest, right? Like, I couldn't have performed the way I performed visiting my prospects this week if I didn't have a good night's sleep. If I would have been tossing and turning all night, I wouldn't have performed the way I was able to.
Yeah, when you also see the issues of driver health and wellness while they're on the road, and so one of those, you talk to any health expert, and they'll tell you the benefits of a good night's sleep helps lead to like you said, your motor skills. But when you think of drivers who maybe want to try to exercise while they're on the road, a good sleep goes in with that. And I know that driver wellness is a big push as well, making sure that these men and women are able to work out and eat well while they're on the road, and being able to be stress-free inside your cab at the end of 8, 9, 10 hours on the road. Man, that's I know how I feel when I drive my family to Gatlinburg or wherever for vacation, and I've put in 10, 12 hours on the road. And the way I feel when I get done, it's like I don't want to do anything. I just want to eat and I want to go to sleep. And so we want to make sure that our drivers when they hit their hours of service, that they can just park. They can go, man, all I want to do is I want to cook a good meal and I want to go to sleep. Yeah. And I want to get a solid, 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep where I can get back on the road tomorrow. Or if I got to do my 36-hour reset, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's what we want to help do. And you talk about companies that talk about driver safety, and we're not saying that, hey, they're just kind of talking out of both sides of their mouth. Maybe they really mean it, but have you as a company ever thought, wait a minute, have I thought about where they park and what it's like for them?
Yeah.
Because if I haven't thought about it, well, then we've only thought about most of driver safety. The parking thing has been so eye-opening to me. I had no idea it was the issue that it was.
Yeah.
Until I started having conversations with Anthony.
Yeah. And it's, because breaking down, because like obviously the main premise of this show is always to break down industry headlines, right? And it's one of those things where it's frequently pops up on like the number, I want to say outside of hatred for brokers. No, I'm just kidding. But outside of driver pay, number 2 or number 3 is safe, limited access to safe and secure truck parking. Mm-hmm. And, again, for me, it's just like, I know that as an industry, we got to do more, right? Like I'm not going to subscribe to this is the way that things have always been done. I'm going to be the change, right? That's my
absolutely
whole mission. I'm going to be the change. I might not have the resources right now to do this, but in due time, offering paid secure parking as a broker to all of my carriers is something that's on my roadmap when the resources are available for that. Yeah. Save the receipts. The September 21st of 2023. This is what the freight coach said. So it's true though, man, because again, I look at it like this. The market is going to shift here soon. It's going to shift a lot faster than a lot of people want. And they're going to be sitting there spinning their heads. And again, I want to make my freight the most appealing that is out there. Like I was saying earlier, not only are they going to be treated with dignity and respect, it is our job to go and make sure their lives are as easy as possible when they're hauling our freight, right? Like calling my customers, calling the shippers, calling the receivers, verifying load details, doing all of those little things are an oversight for a lot of people. But again, when it boils down to it, if a driver sees a load posting that's out there or an opportunity to haul a couple of loads, they're going to go with the person who they know may have a relationship with. But if they don't, they're like, all right, these guys are at least offering to take care of my parking for the night or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Capacity is going to tighten up, and it's going to be an eye opener for a lot of people who weren't in this industry pre 2020 and 2021 when it was just like easy to cover freight. Because no matter what, these last 36 months, it's been easy to cover freight for a lot of people. There is going to be a pendulum that is going to swing back where a lot of people are going to be left spinning their heads of, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And when that happens, we want to be there to make sure that we can help anyone who wants to up their safety game for their fleet, for their carriers, whatever. We want to be there to make sure that we can help you up that safety game for you. And you talk about a resource, man. We have an app. You can hit that. Drivers can hit that FinPark app. They can download it from Apple. They can download it from the Google Play Store. It's available for Apple and Android. And I mean, it's like renting a hotel room. It's like renting an Airbnb, whatever. And
that's exactly it. Is because it's going to help.
Super easy.
Yeah, it helps out with trip planning too. On top of that,
absolutely.
Right? Like
and
you're able to circumvent. I mean, I live in Phoenix, right? And traffic is dog shit from here from 3 p.m. till fucking almost 7 p.m. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like if you've never driven through this area enough, or you know what, you're heading out through here. Yeah, dude, you got to get ahead of a lot of these things, and it's getting off the road because, dude, I get stressed out driving in rush hour traffic. I could only imagine having a semi rolling down there, and this is just another alternative to get off and beat that. And you know what? Say you got a delay, right? You got delayed. I know that people hate hearing this, but there are delays in this industry. But you get on that, that if you're able to make that city that you had planned out still, you still got that spot, right?
Yeah, you
know,
do.
you still shut down at that spot at that night. You got access to whatever it is that you need. And it's just that sense of ease, right? You know what?
Right.
You might not, I look at it like this again, back to the whole safety. You might not feel the need to drive as hard on that because you're like, shit, I gotta get a spot. If I don't get in there in the next 45 minutes,
and that's another thing. I mean, the hours and money wasted with drivers, they're, trying to find a spot to park. I mean, they say that a driver, takes anywhere from 1 to 2 hours just to find a place to park. And some of the statistics I read when I first got into the parking game is that there's one spot for every 11 drivers.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping to kick those stats out the window. Yeah. And our team has been solid, man. We've got over 250 lots onboarded already. So drivers, you can find those. They can find them quick and easy through our FinPark app.
And I think
we're adding more every day, almost, it seems.
And to me, it's like that's just the transition, because like obviously the next generation of drivers, again, man, I do, how much do we do on our cell phones all day long, right? And it's like having that convenience to that, where it's like, man, if I'm sitting there in a dock getting sealed up for the day, I'm going to go in there. You can easily reserve that spot and get that done. And again, it's like, that's the digital space of transportation that I love. I'm not, cause it's like, for me, that's appealing to that next generation of a driver, right? Like, I mean, my son texts me now. Like, he doesn't want to talk. He just texts me. He sends me a text message, but it's like, I mean, neither here nor there. But again, I think like to me, it's more about having that resource appealing to that next generation that is all about that, who's going to be driving for the next 40 years.
Yeah, and you think they can go online, they can go reserve their parking through us. They could even, they find a lot that's near Walmart. They can not only reserve their parking, they could freaking have their grocery order ready for them to pick up as they come into town. And I mean, it's just whatever they need. I mean, it's such a digital age. And we want to talk about retaining the next generation for drivers. That's where we have to go. We've got to make, push the easy button for them, man.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you. Cause it's like, again, when I'm traveling and stuff for work, that's what I like to go and see what's in the area, what's close to the hotel. Is there a gym nearby? Is there this? And if I'm flying in there and taking an Uber, where it's like, and I'm not saying that this is the direct correlation, but like, you're not going to be able to drive a semi truck into a gym parking lot, but it's like, at least I know what's in that area. If I want to go in, if I got a nationwide gym that I work out at, know that you get over to that gym, you can Uber over there. There might be some restaurants in the area. You can get food sent into your truck. You can set all of that stuff up.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, hey, I want my dinner delivered to me at 7 p.m. And again, it's that convenience factor that makes it the most appealing.
Yeah, we want to make, because if you talk to a driver, man, it's a hard life, and I do not doubt that.
It is.
I don't doubt that at all, and I'm sure it's I can't speak to that, but I take their word on that, and whatever we can do to ease that for them, it's in ways that we take for granted. You know what I mean? It's like, man, if I need lunch, I'm just going to run down here and get it.
Yeah.
I've got that ability, but these men and women who are driving, they don't have that ability. And if whatever we can do to make their road trip and their job easier and take some of that stress off of their day, then let's talk. We want to do it. That's our goal. That's our mission is to really help drivers drive smarter, not harder. You work smarter, not harder. We want to help them do the same thing because we really care about what they do, because what they do directly impacts what I do here at my house in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
I love it, man.
I was
going to say, man, we're already up on time. This is great, man. I love your energy, Britton, by the way.
Hey, man, thanks for having me come on, man. It's been great.
Oh, dude, it's great. How does anybody reach out to you to talk if they just want to learn more?
Man, they can hit me on LinkedIn if they're on that. It's Britton Wesson. You just search BR Britton Wesson. You know what? I just go to FinPark's LinkedIn. Then you'll find us. They can reach out there. They could reach out to me via email. It's Britton.Wesson@finloc, FINLOC.com. That's kind of our parent group right there. Yeah. Hit me up on LinkedIn. If you find me on Facebook, man, hit me up, whatever, however I can help get you connected as a driver or as a parking lot owner to help you fill empty spaces. That's what we'd love to do as well. We want to help our lot owners as well. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Britton,
Yeah,
I
dude.
appreciate you tuning in. And hey, guys, that's going to be it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Q&A day. You guys, so if you have any sales or operations related questions, drop them in the chat, DM them over. I'll answer them live on the show. But that's going to be it. As always, if you guys got value in what you heard here today, subscribe to the show, you guys. Get it out there to your network, because if you see value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.